Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giants football? If so, sit back and relax as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
I'm me, Rob. It's the saddest day of the year.
No more football. No more.
We have to wait.
I know. We have to wait for more football. It's okay. You know what? On the plus side, though, I'm going to see a whole lot less Taylor Swift the next, how many months? 9 months? 8 months? Yeah.
Well, you know what? I'm going to take a stance on Taylor Swift. I was a little upset there was too much Taylor Swift at first, but you know what? She became a beer-guzzling football fan.
No, she did not.
Oh, she definitely looked like she was into the game.
Of course she was into the game. She was jet-lagged and tired. She had to pretend to get into it. She thought she didn't get a ring.
Yeah. Well, no, but her boyfriend got a ring.
Yeah, see?
And someone got the ring out of this relationship.
And I can't believe how people I heard early on go, oh, this is a boring Super Bowl. This is a boring Super Bowl. It was a fun Super Bowl, guys.
It was.
25-22, the final score in overtime. Only the second time we've ever had a Super Bowl go into overtime. Ironically, Kyle Shanahan didn't like either outcome, but I mean,
no.
If you like an offensive matchup, you don't like football. You like a football. I don't care offensive, defenses. I just want a close game. That's all I ever want. That's what we had.
I agree. And it's almost like we call that too. Like, right?
Yeah. Except only one of us called the winner.
Yeah. Well, listen, I said that don't. Yeah. Anyway.
Snap. Yeah.
My word was, I want the Niners to win, but don't bet against the Chiefs.
I believe my exact words I said on the pregame show we did were the 49ers had the better roster, but the Chiefs had the better player. And I was judging it based on that. And that's what happened though in the end is Patrick Mahomes took over, guys. You can hate him all you want. There's plenty of people that hate him. I don't get the hate personally. I don't. Okay, I get it. He sounds like Kermit the Frog. He's a little goofy. People don't like his wife. Is she? I think they're married now, right? They're married, I think.
Yeah. His wife. Yeah.
His girlfriend for a while, but people don't like the wife. I don't care.
Why was she in Sports Illustrated?
Because I don't know. She's on swimsuit issue or something now.
Yeah, but why?
Why does she want to do what they offered? I guess I don't know.
Yeah, but I mean, why is she in Sports Illustrated? She should be on Maximum or something.
I don't know. I don't.
That's what I'm saying.
I just don't even.
Be an athlete.
Who does any kind of magazines anymore nowadays?
This is true.
No one cares.
Well, that's like that lazy thing. It's like, oh, I'm going to do this, but you're supposed to be an athlete.
Yeah, I just look at it like I said.
One.
People hate this man because he's successful. And we talked about it in the pregame as well. I don't understand the hate because he's successful. Who cares? Let the man have success. You're watching one of the best goddamn players to ever play this game.
Listen, he could go down as the GOAT.
I don't think he will.
I said he could go down.
I just say I hear that all the time. Listen, the chances of him getting 4 more Super Bowls in his career are not very high. And that's not a disrespect to him because he's already one of the best no matter what he does the rest of the way.
He's got more rings than probably half the NFL teams have.
He has got more rings than like 5 different quarterbacks. I think he's tied for 5th already with rings. I mean, that's just.
Well, I'm just being like, do the Browns have a Super Bowl ring? Do the Lions have a Super Bowl? Like, he's got more rings than franchises.
Yeah, I got you. I mean, but you're talking about when you talk about best ever quarterbacks as far as rings, you got Tom Brady obviously at 7. You got 4 with Montana and Bradshaw. After that,
he's there.
It's there. He is with 3, and him and Aikman sitting there by themselves there in that group. So he is
And he's
already
28 years old.
top 5 in all-time Super Bowl wins, guys. And you look at the people, and again in front of him, besides Aikman, who I'm sorry got dragged to all these Super Bowls. You got it's the truth. I'm not even trying to be disrespectful to the man. He was not a bad quarterback. He's just not a Hall of Fame caliber quarterback.
He's like
I'm
Brock
trying to
Purdy.
take my Giants hat off. No, because you know what? We never saw Brock Purdy like that scenario. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know what Brock Purdy could do otherwise. But Brock Purdy, as good as the Niners teams are, the Niners teams are not as stacked as those Cowboy teams were, guys. For those who weren't around the 90s during these teams, they had the best offensive line potentially ever in the history of the NFL. They had a guy who you could argue is the best running back to ever play the game. I would tell you you're wrong if you try to make that argument. But I will tell you he's top 5. You have one of the best wide receivers of his generation in Michael Irvin. You had the best fullback of that generation, which sounds weird because back then fullback was a big deal. Back then it was. You had a good tight end. There was not a single weakness on that roster. Because that's just the offense we're talking stars now. Then you start going to the defense and talking about the guys on there, and it's just like it continues. So he was dragged. I mean, you could make the same case for Terry Bradshaw as well, I've been told. Again, I wasn't around for Terry Bradshaw years. I'm not going to make that case, but I've heard people that were around in the 70s make that case. So I would tell you, as of right now, I don't know where he's going to end up career numbers wise, but if he ends up in the top 3, ends up on the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks, I would not be shocked.
No, but Brady did something amazing. I don't want to harp on this because there's a Super Bowl game to talk about besides how the legacy of where Patrick Mahomes is going to be. But Tom Brady played to his 45, right? And he's already had. Granted, Mahomes is probably not going to play to 45. He'll probably play to his late 30s if he stays healthy.
That's average. Yeah, that's average.
Yeah. So even if he plays at 40, he's already on pace to beat what Tom Brady's already done if he continues to play the way he has. Granted, I'm thinking a small sample size and spread it across a long distance.
The thing is, how much longer does Travis Kelce have? How much longer does Andy Reid have? How much longer can they keep this defense together? How much longer does the Spagnuolo have?
But you're right. But they also
all dynasties come to an end.
Yeah, it took 20 years for the Patriots. And you know what? Kansas City Chiefs took a lot like the Patriots did in the first 5 years.
You know what? I would say this. The Patriots dynasty didn't continue for 20 years. The Patriots dynasty paused, reloaded, and went for a second go around.
I mean, that's not wrong, but they still played at a high caliber. They're still
I'm not disputing that, and he'll probably still play at a high caliber. But to think that
I'm not saying he's going to the Super Bowl every other. I'm not saying he's going to
that's what I mean. Yeah. Like I said, I just look at it that aspect. I mean, if you look at what the Patriots did at that point, they got 21, 23, 24, and then they reloaded 14, 16, 18.
But see,
so there was a good 10-year stretch that he didn't win a Super Bowl, Brady.
You're right.
So let's say hypothetically, Mahomes has a couple more years with this team. Let's say 2 or 3. Okay. Let's say even hypothetically gets 1 or 2 more rings in that time frame. He starts losing these guys around him. They got to rebuild. It's not so easy to just rebuild and automatically get another Super Bowl contender. So
you're right.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think he'll beat Brady.
I'm not saying, but he potentially he could.
I think the bigger thing is, does he beat Montana and Bradshaw?
Yes.
And considering his age, he's what, 27, I want to say?
28.
28. So he's got another 10 years. Can he get 2 more in 10 years? That's not unreasonable.
The fact is, he is now 9-2 in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And that's an amazing stat to be in. That's good company.
And this was his worst team you had around him.
offense. Where's
That's what I'm saying. Offensively, yeah. I mean, you're correct. I should specify because the defense was amazing.
His best defense, arguably, that he's had.
Yes.
And they still struggled all year. As soon as he got to the postseason, what did they do?
Yeah.
Lit it up.
Did his thing. I mean, last year he did it on a bum leg. This year he does it with bum receivers. I mean, it's just like...
It's funny. The 49ers did what they did in the postseason this year, but in the opposite. They just took a dominant lead early and they just degressed.
Yeah. I mean, because the first half, you watched this game, you would have thought the Niners had this game. All day long. You would have thought that. And, the defense was absolutely dominant in the first half. And then Andy Reid just did his thing. I mean, again, as much as we give Patrick Mahomes credit, Patrick Mahomes deserves the credit. Don't get me wrong. He's the best player in the NFL. And he's just reaching his prime, guys, by the way. He's got, 28, 29. That's you're talking, you're in your prime at that point. Like, I would say, like,
especially quarterback,
27 to like 32 is probably your prime years.
Even like with his age, the modern science, I mean, granted, he's got the real athlete's body. It's not like, some of these other players out there. Rule that beautiful beat footage.
But as much as he gets the credit,
you say 34. You can say almost
Andy Reid, though. Andy Reid is to me the guy who turned this whole thing around.
Oh, 100%.
And it makes you wonder. And if we have any of our occasional Eagles fans listening, take this slate for what you wish. Makes you wonder if he didn't waste so many goddamn years with Donovan McNabb, what he could have done.
That's another thing too. It's like, how good was Donovan McNabb?
You know what? I don't think he was that good. I didn't think he was that good then.
No,
I thought he was a B-tier quarterback. He was never an A-tier quarterback.
I didn't think so.
And I'm not dissing him saying that. That's legit a B-tier quarterback because you're still better than most.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into overtime a little later, but that showed how good of a coach Andy Reid is.
Mm-hmm.
All his players knew what they're doing, and I'll talk about that later. But when you go back to McNabb, I don't know if game could end in a tie.
Yeah,
you're a professional starter.
I feel like I watch Andy Reid and I look at what he's done now with this team, and what he did all those years in Philadelphia, and
I'm not mad.
Belichick is still to me the best coach I've seen him ever coach because of what he did. You can go to the argument over whether it was a Brady, was it him, blah blah blah. I look at it as legitimately it was a combination of both.
100%.
But he's a defensive-minded coach. I feel like what I could say at this point is, while he was the best defensive head coach I've seen in my lifetime, Andy Reid's probably the best offensive head coach that I've seen, the best offensive mind that I've seen in my lifetime.
That's fair.
I think that's a fair statement. I really do.
It really is.
And again, and I know some Giant fans might blast me and go, what about Tom Coughlin? Tom Coughlin was a guy who just was all-around CEO. There's a difference with him. He was a true CEO. He doesn't even get either category. He was a wide receivers coach in, for much of his career in the NFL. He was a offensive coordinator in college and everything. He was a guy, though, that if you look at what he did, he was a CEO in the league. Michael Strahan will tell you how many defensive meetings this man was in. He hated him back then before he loosened up the reins here, so to speak, and complained about him nonstop. Andy Reid's just that good. And now you got Spags with his fourth ring as a defensive coordinator as well, now potentially being looked at as the best defensive coordinator to ever coach in this league. And, you look at it, this guy going, okay, does he make the Hall of Fame now with 4 rings? Like, how do you keep a guy with 4 rings out of the Hall of Fame? But I can't think of a coordinator. And granted, listen, I'm not the guy who can sit there and tell you every single person who is in and who is not outside of the Giants as far as the Hall of Fame. I think I proved that with a conversation we're going to have on tomorrow's episode. Oh yes, we already know tomorrow's episode. But
Wednesday's episode.
Yes, sorry. It's all a blur to me. We record ahead of time. But I look at, the history of people that I remember getting in. I don't remember a single guy coming in as a defensive coordinator or an offensive coordinator not being a full-on head coach, at least at some point with success. You can't look at Spags as being a successful head coach. You know, he didn't do very good in St. Louis. Sounds weird to say St. Louis now. Though obviously he had Sam Bradford and wasn't the best quarterback in the world.
Oh,
you know,
I always forgot about Sam Bradford.
Oh, yeah. Can't forget about Sam Bradford, the guy that gets signed every single year for $16 million, even though he did absolutely nothing the prior year. You know, he was a head coach for the Giants for a little bit there, you know, when McAdoo got fired. So, you know, he had a second tour of duty, so to speak, as a head coach. That was a very short one. And he's never gotten a look again. And you never hear him being talked about as a candidate ever going forward.
You also have to wonder if he wants that job.
I don't think he does. I don't think he does, to be very frank with you. I think he's happy being a coordinator. He knows he's part of something that's very special. He knows that for the rest of his life, he'll never have to buy a beer in Kansas City again. And you can just look at that man and say that's very important to him. He obviously drinks beer. I don't know. It just looks like a guy that you have a beer with. Like I said, I think we're in the middle of watching something special, guys. And unless you hate the Chiefs overall because you're a Raiders fan or a Bronco fan, I get
Chargers,
that. Listen, I get that. I get that 100%, guys. We despise the 90s Cowboys. I said some nice things about them, but we despise those teams because we're tired of seeing them win. We're tired of hearing Cowboys fans talk trash about it. Hell, we're still tired of them talking trash about the same wins 30 years later.
Taylor Swift now has joined Kansas City Chiefs for 1 year. She's got more Super Bowls since she's been alive than the Cowboys.
No, she was alive during the Cowboys. She's not as young as people think she is. She's like, I want to say she's like in her mid 30s now.
I think she's yeah.
She's in her mid 30s now. She was a kid.
She's like 32, I think.
I thought she's like 33, 34. I don't know. Damn it, you're making me look Taylor Swift up. I should go incognito for this one so it doesn't affect my search history going forward. She's 34 years old. I feel kind of ashamed that I was this close to her exact age, but yeah. So that's what we're looking at. I mean, this is something that you don't see very often. Think about in our lifetime. Okay, now, you know, Rob and I are a little older than some of y'all and a little younger than some of y'all. So, I mean,
we're a little older than Taylor Swift. We'll put it that way.
He's in his late 30s. I'm in my early 40s. So, looking at dynasties that we've seen in our time frame, you know, okay, the tail end of the 49ers, if you want to say that, though I don't remember them very well. The Cowboys, the Patriots, and now the Chiefs. That's it. It doesn't happen that often, guys. You're literally watching history. Enjoy it. And
you also are now watching another team making history, is that the 49ers are the new Buffalo Bills of the early 90s.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, kind of hitting that, right? Now, let's talk about some former Giants there, because I know some people are always curious about some former Giants and what happened there. The big two, obviously, in this game here is Kadarius Toney, who, what I heard, did amazing things every time he got in the field, which was zero. Healthy scratch.
Yeah.
He was on Instagram afterwards, too, like posting like party pictures, like, oh, yeah. I'm like, dude, you didn't do shit. They didn't even want you on the team. They literally said, we know you can play. We don't want you.
Yeah, that's probably his last career game as a football player.
And that's the question I was about to ask. Is this the end? Is this the end of Kadarius Toney? Because I'm telling you, I think he'll get one more year somewhere. I don't think it'll be Kansas City. He'll get a third team to go, you know what? We're going to get this guy on a nothing deal. It's a boom or bust. Let's get him in the building, see what he's like, and we'll take it from there.
That's like the Raiders. Or
I don't think it's going to be the Raiders. It's going to be somebody who's desperate for some help at the wide receiver position. Except us. Because we will probably fall in that category, but it won't be us.
He's definitely not going to Broncos. Payton would put up with that. Harbaugh would put up with that.
Look at me the last year in the Super Bowl. Look at the game a couple of years ago against one of the, I hate to say it again, one of the better quarterbacks in the league when he played Dallas. I mean, he has shown people the talent he has. That's what's so frustrating about it. It's like, get out of your own goddamn way.
Such a waste
Like he
of talent.
tackles himself at the 10-yard line.
Yeah.
That's what
More
it
like the
feels
1
like.
yard line.
In life, not in the game, just in life.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where he was at. Richie James, we had little flashbacks as Giant fans there. He fumbled a punt return during the game, but recovered it very nicely. But
Deja
again,
vu.
definitely brought flashbacks of his game against Seattle last year with us. But I was happy for Richie James though overall. It's nice to see him get a ring. Listen, you may not like some of the stuff he did last year, especially that Seattle game, but Richie James fought his ass off for us last year.
He really did.
And,
So
and
kudos to him.
Yeah, and I appreciate everything he did for the Giants last year, even though it was
And wasn't he drafted by the Niners? So wasn't that a little bit of a
he
revenge game?
was. He started his career
was-
as a Niners. So
there's a little bit of a revenge game for him.
Yeah. And then we got to talk about, of course, the big thing, the overtime rules. Because
Yes. I saw that you delete my notes in big, bold prints.
I didn't delete your notes. I deleted the notes you put down in the episode we just shot for Wednesday.
Yeah.
You put it in the wrong spot. That means if I deleted it.
It was big, bold print.
Huge. But the big thing with that was the overtime rules now have it where if you go and you get the ball first, no matter what happens, the other team has a chance to also drive. So if you get a field goal and they get a touchdown, they win. You get a field goal and they get a field goal. Well, in that case here, you continue
Sudden
going.
death.
Yeah. If you get a touchdown, they have to go for a touchdown. You get a field goal, they have to at least go for a field goal, or they're going to lose.
Yeah.
And it's like the Niners didn't seem to know the rules.
Yes, and I'll break that down too, because there's a little bit more to those rules that really confuse some people. So, like, just like you said, Drew, like the first team that scores, the second team has the opportunity to match or better that score for either the next drive or to win the game. Like you said, field goal, touchdown wins.
Yeah.
If you go touchdown, 2-point conversion, make it, you win, miss it, you lose. Which the Chiefs already talked about, possibly they would have done that right off the bat. But what Kyle Shanahan was talking about in that little math there is he thought they would get the ball back. They didn't think they were going to stop him. They thought they would be able to get it to the first touchdown. So they get a touchdown, Chiefs get a touchdown, they get the ball back in sudden death, and they could kill the ball.
Yeah.
Another thing
same system they do in college, guys. Same exact system. So for those of you who watch college, know that whenever they start overtime, if you win the toss, you want to go second because you get to play with 4 downs if you need to. You get to know what you want next. Like let's say for example, if you were if you went second, let's let this the whole thing got reversed. The Chiefs went first and they get a touchdown. Well, now the Niners wouldn't have gone for that field goal. They would have gone for the touchdown. No way they needed the touchdown to at least stay even.
Correct. Now, what I was alluding to earlier as well, one of the other rules that the Niners seemed not to understand was the clock doesn't matter until the third possession. And that's where it seemed like a lot of plays were getting confused.
Yes.
Because once the clock was run down very close to the end of the first quarter, where it should have went to the second quarter of game overtime, the Niners, it wouldn't matter. They would have KC, if they would have let the time run out, KC would have been put down on the other side of the team, flipped it around, just like they would have done, halftime, whatever, and then it would have continued the game.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes had a post game statement saying that I was so tired of hearing about these new rules, about this overtime stuff, but we had to practice it constantly, that once it came time to actually play this game, it felt like second nature. Meanwhile, you had several Niners come out and say, I wasn't sure what was going on. I wasn't sure where they were on the clock. They just knew what was going on there. Like they were just out there in La La Land.
Yeah, and that's don't get me wrong, nobody's perfect. I don't mean to chastise him to the point where I say he's a bad coach, but that's on Shanahan. Point blank.
Yeah, no, 100%.
So
I'm not saying he didn't know the rules.
I don't think he did. I really don't.
But it seems like he didn't. But like I understand him saying he wants the ball back third because the way the Chiefs came off in the second half, if they go get the touchdown, and then the Chiefs go get the touchdown, now San Francisco has the best chance to win.
I feel like that was a scramble PR statement.
I mean, analytically, if you punch into the way that they both been playing both sides of football, not many touchdowns, but they've played each other close all game. There's no reason to think that you wouldn't be able to tie the other side. I understand you're saying it's PR last minute, but if they get the first touchdown, Chiefs gets the first touchdown, now they kick the Niners kick a field goal, we would have a different conversation about his analytics.
Yeah, I don't know. I won't ever agree with that. And I'm not saying that I'm steadfast right and anybody else is wrong. It's just I would never agree with doing it that way. Just won't.
I think it depends on the situations, but as the Niners, as San Francisco, I would have definitely taken the ball second, just the way the game's been played. And for the most part, through most of this postseason, the Niners, when it comes to crunch time, came back from diversity in the second half, especially the fourth quarter, that they probably would have been better knowing what the Chiefs had. So they played conservative football to go for that field goal in overtime. If they knew they were down a touchdown, they would have went for it, like you said
exactly.
earlier.
So they should have not taken the ball first. I don't think they knew. I really don't think they knew the full rules.
And we were also doing Monday morning quarterbacking, Monday night quarterbacking.
Of course we are. It's all right. We're allowed to do that. That's what we do for a side job here. So one last topic we have on this Super Bowl here before we move on to all the latest and greatest Giants and NFL news here from around the league. You can't not talk about a halftime show. That's a big part of the Super Bowl experience here. And it's been a love-hate thing, it seems like, what I see online. And I got to say, I was definitely a big proponent of having Usher at the halftime. The guy's an amazing performer overall, great singer, great dancer. Done some of the best songs of 20 years ago when I was young, getting drunk at the clubs. But I didn't like the show at all. I got to be honest. I did not like the show at all. I thought it was way too much dancing. And I get he's a dancer. What he does.
That's what he does.
but here's what the difference. What I'm saying is he's also a singer. I mean, this was him. He's like, situations. It is done. Like, and that's I got the one word of the song, and that's it, and that's all I get.
Yeah.
Like, I want to hear you sing the song. I don't want to see you just dance. I want to see you sing the song. You are a singer. If this was an album, like, I guarantee you anybody who's like listening to this in the podcast version, like, what do you do? Like, you're a singer. Sing.
Yes. I can tell you, as the guy that was in the kitchen getting his pulled pork ready for halftime appetizers, 12 pounds of it. Drew and I talked offline. It was fantastic. Anyway, but like you said, situations. I'm like,
that was the end of the song for him. He's just dancing the rest of the time. He's got time to break out roller skates, but he doesn't have time to sing a goddamn song.
Yeah. But I'm not gonna lie, Ludacris comes out. I was like, all right, man.
Yeah. Listen, I liked that song. I like that's like, again, that's like one of our songs here from that generation, but it's also, I look at that, and the biggest version of that was Yin Yang Twins. It wasn't even necessarily an Usher song potentially. It was the remix version, which was the Yin Yang Twins.
Yeah.
And where were they? I want to see them come out for this. I haven't seen them in probably forever.
20 years.
I liked Lil Jon though coming out. Him doing his Okay.
same thing. I was like,
What?
pulled pork? Yeah.
I mean, I like Ludacris coming out because he's just a fun guy. You just know this guy, man. This guy just enjoys doing what he does.
Sidetrack about Ludacris. Did you see? Well, one, their outfits, but did you see the memes going around comparing them to dodgeball?
Oh God,
it's fantastic. Ludacris is Ben Stiller.
But it's like, you know, I liked Alicia Keys coming out. Listen, Alicia Keys should do her own halftime show. I listen to that woman sitting at a piano for half an hour, no problem. Her, I think that's how you pronounce it because I know it's H.E.R. I'm old. I don't know. I didn't know who the hell she was at the time, but I'm fine with if shredding the guitar for her makes people enjoy the show more, whatever. That didn't do it for me either way. Wasn't a bad guitar solo, but somebody who listens to rock and metal on a regular basis. I've seen so many people do that exact riff with no problem. It's not that impressive per se. But yeah, I don't know. I want a halftime show with people that actually sing, singers to sing.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to pause it and have a bunch of, you know, music and then pause into a dance number in the middle of it, go for it. Go for it. By all means, if this is part of your show, like a guy like Usher, do it. But I want to see you sing. Especially because the guy has an amazing voice. He really does. Like, if you don't have to like the genre to understand the talent this man oozes.
Yeah, but I'm also thinking you just want to sing. Wasn't the first halftime show some dude on a jetpack?
The first halftime show, if we're talking about the actual halftime shows, we're going back to the days of a living color trying to steal viewership away during halftime. Now you're talking the first halftime show like this was actually Michael Jackson.
Which
was
one of the best.
I'm not saying that you have to sit there and just sing the entire time. I'm just saying at some point, sing a song. Even if it's one song, you just sing. Sing a song.
Yeah.
You're the piano man. Sing us a song tonight. We're all in the mood for a melody.
It was Piano Woman.
I'm just saying, Billy Joel, I could see. Billy Joel could do a good halftime show.
That'd be fantastic.
I don't think he's done one. But they're trying to go younger and younger.
I don't think so.
They're not. Yeah, they're not. They got 20-year-old people now again. It's just those 20-year-old people are people that 20 years ago were new.
Well, you said you were...
Safe to say Janet Jackson will be back.
You said you were mad about it, right? I was impartial. I also was pulling my pork. But at the party I was at, the generation younger than me, they were all going crazy. Generation older than me, they were all going crazy. It looked like they all had a great time. So now I'm sitting there in my millennial statue, like, all right, whatever.
Listen, it's not. I was mad because of who it was. I expected better from him because I expected a really good show from him because I have a lot of respect for his talent and I liked a lot of his songs. And I don't like the fact that I have a guy who literally is the singer, not singing. And I don't know if there was an issue with the audio because I noticed like his mic was out of whack at one point and everything too. Like, you know, but yeah, that's where I'm at. So, like I said, you love it or you hate it. That's what it was with it. But overall, I loved the game. That's all that mattered in the end. That matters a lot more than the halftime show. That's for damn sure.
100%.
So, would have been nice without the overtime though, a little bit because I was a little tired afterwards. But you know, 7th longest NFL game in history. It's my understanding. That's what they said on the show.
Yes.
So
we didn't talk about this because before we get too crazy, talk about the overtime. Is that Shanahan's first time he went to the Super Bowl and lost against the Patriots. Overtime, blew that 28-3 lead at halftime. Biggest comeback in Super Bowl history. So the worst comeback for offensive corner. The last time he lost to the Chiefs was by 10 points, was the second biggest gap in Super Bowl history of coming back after what he said as offensive coordinator from the Falcons at 28-3. And what did he do last night?
Blew it again
for third place.
Womp. All righty, guys. I think it's that time. Let's pay the bills. Let's go through some comments. Let's give you guys the latest and greatest news.
Did you talk about Taylor Swift? She didn't get her ring either, right? We got that.
We talked about that at the very beginning. We
I
did. We
just want
talked
to
about
make
that at
sure.
the very beginning. Yeah, but she didn't. That
No,
did not. There was no proposal. There was no proposal.
No, she just rubs his
Except
belly like
now.
he left the Golden Corral.
Except now, when I propose, we pay the bills.
Ooh,
Oh yes.
Enjoying
Good
the
segue.
show? Looking for more goofball action? Consider a membership at buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Memberships start at just $5 and give you additional goofball access. One-time support payments also available starting at just $3. buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
All right, let's get to the comments here. Connor says, and 2 giant hairy goofballs who forgot to manscape. Listen, you don't know if we have a manscaped or not, Connor. This is not that kind of program, okay? That involves a very massive donation at the buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs.
You don't even know if I'm wearing pants right now.
Feet pics for $50 and
Yeah, I do got some nice feet.
Deb says boring. It was exciting. Exactly. I thought the same thing. Like I
thought the
said,
same thing.
I saw people complaining that it was boring, and I think it's because of the low score. And I think some people just like offensive games, and that's okay if you're one of those people. It's just you only like offensive football games, and you don't like all football games.
You know what? I wasn't upset that I was low scored. I was very excited about the game. I'm just upset that my boxes didn't hit. Wow.
Yeah, that was bad for me as well.
I had 6-6, by the way, which did me
part
no
of the number
good.
of the beast.
Well, 6-6 was when it was at tight going into overtime.
Connor says 49ers were stupid for not going for it in overtime on 4th down. You can't give Mahomes a chance to win. I told you there'd be more yards. Yeah, I mean, I don't blame them for that decision as much as I blame them for not taking the ball and shoving it right back to the Chiefs and making them go first. That's what they should have done. Deb says, I was surprised to read the 49ers players were not aware of the OT rules. Yeah, that's embarrassing. Connor said 49ers defense gave up in the end. Again, that goes back to what Rob was saying. I think a lot of them thought that once the clock ran out, it's like it was over and the game had to restart another time, even though that's not the way the rules work. Connor says they knew the rules, Deb. Those FOS, it's even in Madden gameplay. They all play, but overtime doesn't happen that often like that. So
no, this is the first time since they reset the rules 2 years ago. But that's what I'm saying. Andy Reid has made the Chiefs practice for that scenario.
Oh yes,
especially since they've been there so many times.
Because he's a damn good coach.
Yep.
Let's see, Connor says the script was written and it's rigged by the NFL. LOL.
Oh, jeez.
No, stop. Deb says, from what I heard from several sources, 49ers said it's why they picked to receive. They thought if they scored a touchdown, they would win. So I hadn't heard that from them. But I think the timing that Rob alluded to before was definitely part of it there. Connor says, Emmett got the yards because the O-line gave him wide openings. Hell, I could have run through those holes, and I'm fat. Yes and no, though, because, listen, Emmitt Smith, even as a Giant fan, I have to have a ton of respect for. Was it the one game he broke his ankle or something against the Giants and then kept on playing still or something like that?
Yeah, I think it was a fracture, like hairline fracture or something.
Yeah, like I'm not saying obviously his foot didn't fall off or something, but you're still a running back with a broken foot and you're still freaking crushing it.
I think it was his tibia, right? Fibula is a small one.
I'm not a doctor. I just went on TV. But you go from like 91 to 95, so you're talking a 5-year stretch. He led the NFL in yards 4 of those 5 years. He had 11 straight seasons of 1,000 yards, guys. He had 13 straight seasons of 900 yards or more. He had 14 of his 15 years with more than 900 yards. Only year he didn't was his first year in Arizona. He had 257 yards. I mean,
plus
again, you got to respect the guy.
Then.
You got it. And if you don't, you just don't understand football.
Yeah.
Yeah, he had the 16 instead of the 17. I guess it's going to be part of the conversation now. But 18,000 yards. I mean, guys, literally from the year 91 to 95, which was his best stretch there at that point. I'd have to do the math to see what he was averaging, but he probably was averaging easily 1,500 yards for 5 years straight. It's impressive.
Yeah.
It's impressive. Connor says, I bet they 3-peat next year unless we beat them. We love beating teams that say we can't beat if we make the playoffs. I see them winning 4 in a row. Too early to tell. You got to see what happens. By the way, I did the math on it. 5 years, those 5 years, Emmitt Smith, 1,604 yards per year for a 5-year stretch. That's pretty goddamn impressive. That's goddamn impressive. Yeah. And then on top of that, he had 45 yards receiving. So he almost did 2,000 yards a season for 5 years straight. That's pretty goddamn impressive, guys.
Yeah.
Connor says it's funny he couldn't win a big one in Philly, but now he wins in KC. Yeah, we talked about it. Like I said, I think it's the quarterback. Debs, I always hated Philly and never thought much of McNabb when I watched him play. I always liked Andy Reid and respected him. Listen, Andy Reid's one of those fun guys you want to sit there and have a burger and a beer with.
Yeah. Definitely.
He really is, except for during the really, really cold game that he played against the Dolphins. He had a snot sickle going. There was look his mustache is frozen. No, that's snots.
Yeah, his mustache is frozen in snots.
I know, it's disgusting. Kind of, Andy Reid will probably have a heart attack always eating burgers and beer. Yeah, we just said that too. And I didn't even realize the comment was coming next to. That's the funny part. I really didn't.
Amazing.
And he says, "Wait, so lie, LOL." Exactly. We're all doomed. Connor's is always like Richie. Glad he got a ring. Exactly. Like I said, I like rooting for guys that bust their butt with the Giants there to get success in life in general. Connor says 49ers are so full of shit about overtime. Even girls at the bar knew the rule. Whoa. Even girls at the bar. Wow, Connor. Plus, like I said, it's in the Madden game that the players all play online, etc. I don't know how much they actually play that and how many playoff overtime implications there are and stuff like that. Madden. Usually, Maddens aren't close games. Connor says, plus the refs told him overtime, so no excuse. He did and he didn't. There was some confusion, I still think. Again, it's not on the refs, it's on Shanahan. Connor says, you won the toss, you get that close to the end zone, you go for a touchdown because Mahomes will get it. You can't let him chance to score a touchdown. Field goal isn't going to win it. Well, technically, a touchdown wouldn't have won it either. So, we don't know what happened in that scenario. Connor says, you always take it second. If Chiefs didn't score, you win by 3. If Chiefs get 3, you can tie or get the touchdown for the win. If Chiefs get 7, you got 7. Come on, idiots. And it's right. That's the big thing for me, 100%. Connor says, and this is Rob's favorite here, you pulled your pork, Roberto, LOL. Eb says, music is subjective. Some genres not people's cup of tea. I was not excited about Usher doing the halftime show because I was never a fan. Yeah, like I said, I get it. Different genres, different people. I mean, I luck out in the fact that I enjoy a large group of music. I enjoy hip hop. I enjoy rock. I enjoy country. I enjoy, all the different genres like that. So no matter what they play, I'm pretty much going to be happy. I got Reba doing the Star Spangled Banner, and I got, Usher at halftime, and I'm thinking, okay, it's going to be a good musical night too.
I stood up just like I was at the American Legion, hat off, ready to go.
Yeah, I don't know. I do that at a game. I don't do it at the living room. I'm not going to lie.
I did. I thought Sundays I'm at the American Legion. Says have it.
I probably should. Let's see. Connor says, pulling your cord, Roberto, what's going on with you? And then he says, Roberto, you're 6'6", holy fook. He's not 6'6".
I was going to say. Definitely not.
Yeah. You're what, 5'9"?
5'10".
Okay, I was close. Listen, I'm 6'7". I'm the tall guy. I'm the one who's never can freaking tell how tall anybody is. Everybody just looks average height to me. I don't know.
You people.
I let people go to me. That tall person. What tall person? They're not that tall. I don't know. I'm the worst judge ever at that stuff. All right, let's get into Giants news and NFL news here before we head on out for the night there. Not a lot going on because it was Super Bowl weekend, so kind of a little bit slower there. We do got a few things here for you. Let's start it off, of course, with the Giants news.
It's time for the news.
Oh, yes. So Tommy DeVito got an award at the NFL Honors, and it's kind of a sad thing, to be honest. It's the best celebration. And obviously that's for his whole, hands up Italian gesture thing. And listen, what I don't get is the NFL for years were fining people, complaining about celebrations. Now you're handing out a goddamn award for it. Pick your freaking side here.
Yeah.
Pick a side. And Tommy DeVito, listen, I guess this is good last hurrah. He got that. He got a a Super Bowl commercial as well. So good for him, I guess. He got his last minute in sunshine there, Speaking of Super Bowl commercials, we had plenty of Giants in Super Bowl commercials there. It's crazy. One of the things when we talk about getting free agents to come to the Giants, getting free agents in general to play.
Bless you. Got the sneeze
Oh, excuse me there. Ooh, that thing was fighting me for a minute there. But getting people to play in general on our team, one of the things I hear about quite often, people, because I always say New York is a place people want to play because not only is it a destination with a rare rabid fan base, but it's a place you can get into, advertising, sportscasting, things like that. You don't get that, when you go play for even, let's say, the Chiefs.
Jacksonville.
Yeah, like you don't get that everywhere. That's a New York thing. And people always act like I'm crazy when I say that. Well, guess what, guys? This Super Bowl, you had Eli Manning, Saquon Barkley, Tommy DeVito, and O.C. Umenyiora all featured in commercials during the Super Bowl. If you don't think the Giants are a special team to come play for, you're not paying attention. And if you don't think that teams, and I don't mean like NFL teams, I mean teams of people that help form the business careers for these guys that are playing in the NFL, don't recognize that, don't notice that, and don't look at that and saying, this is a place you should look at because of the opportunities that come with it. You're crazy. And I hear that all the time. And I'll continue to tell people that are crazy that don't seem to understand it because they don't.
That, and like, if you go out to say Arizona, right? Same thing. You're not to get on nationwide. You got to be like Larry Fitzgerald. That's probably the last.
You got to be a stud or part of a stud team.
Yeah, I'm sure he's doing commercials for the local car salesman, making
I'm sure he is
an extra $5,000, but he's not making $50,000 like Barkley probably did for the commercial.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's the difference there. So. Speaking of Barkley, there's a rumor going around. Rumor has it. Speaking of which, Adele would be a great halftime show. She hasn't done one, has she?
I don't think so.
No, yeah. Saquon of the Giants are rumored to have a gentleman's agreement where he would bring his best offer back to the Giants and give them a chance to match it. And I think that's absolutely 100% brilliant, guys. 100% brilliant, because you know what? If Barkley really wants to be a Giant, we're going to find out. And if Barkley really thinks there's a huge market out for him, we're going to find out. I don't think that there's as big a market for him as he thinks. And I think, on top of that, that you're going to have teams that are a little bit scared to give him offers, and that is going to kind of hurt him. So if that's true and he's willing to do that, that just shows you he really does want to be a Giant for life, guys.
100%.
100%, exactly. So, in news of the Commanders, we're not even out of the Giants news yet, but I'm still going to call this Giants news here. The Commanders added former Giants and Bills offensive line coach Bobby Johnson to the same position, offensive line coach. Yeah.
Poor Howell.
I want to know. Poor Howell, poor Caleb or Daniels or Drake May, whoever they signed there. What made you look at the Giants last year and said, that's the offensive line coach I need?
Yeah.
I didn't think Bobby Johnson would be out of the league because of this, but I thought he'd have to be an assistant offensive line coach after this.
Yeah.
But nope, definitely there he is. Landed on his feet just
there
fine.
He is.
Whoop, there he is on the unemployment line.
Commanding the Commanders' offensive line.
And the Commanders had such a horrible offensive line. You think they want a quality coach there, but yeah, that's what they got. Speaking of offensive line, PFF lists guards Kevin Dotson and Dalton Reisner as potential targets for the Giants in free agency. So something to keep it on there. Dotson is potentially the top guard name on the free agent market. Was a former Steeler, played for the Rams last year, and really turned around as far as run blocking overall, and now is a great all-around guard. Was always a good pass protector. Dalton Reisner, of course, you probably remember us talking about him last offseason. He signed on, I think it was like the second week of the season or third week of the season with the Vikings after being a free agent, former Bronco, very good player, known to be kind of a hothead, though. That's the one thing that kind of scares some teams off there. But he succeeded multiple places. I'd be all for him being on the team. I like a hothead guard, too, as long as it doesn't go off the, just keep the hotheadness where it's got to be on the field, where you're all crazy and, trying to get away with everything you possibly can, because that's the name of the game. So we'll see if they're right. They rarely are, though, fair warning. So don't get too excited. It's just so hard to make predictions where people go before things go. Usually somebody you have no clue is even interested. Let's get into the NFL news here. We got just a few things to go over there for you guys here, including a quarterback that just got cut. Oh, yes. And no, it's not Russell Wilson. Oh, yes. Today, Mitchell Trubisky got cut by the Pittsburgh Steelers there. Interesting, because keep in mind, where did he play? He didn't really play that year per se, but where was he that made people interested in him again? He was with Brian Daboll in Buffalo. So to keep an eye on as Giants fans. Soon to be free agent. Yeah, I don't want him either. Soon to be free agent tight end Dalton Schultz has said he wants to remain with the Texans. So it's one of the biggest names in free agency that doesn't seem to want to go anywhere. After some speculation on what would happen next season with Andy Reid, it's been announced he will be back next year. We talked about him as being one of the best coaches of all time now. There was a lot of rumors he might retire. He is not going to retire. We'll have to see what happens going forward after next year. Sounds like he's not much longer for this league, but
I think as long as he's got a healthy Patrick Mahomes on that team, he stays.
Again, as long as he's healthy and he's enjoying doing it, I would do that. I would do that. I would keep going as long as I can with this. You kidding me?
Yeah.
And go down as one of the top coaches, legit. You can be in that conversation for best coach ever if you get a couple more rings. Keep in mind, Brady's got 7 rings, but only 6 of them with Belichick. So he's halfway there now. So Patriots are rumored to be open to trading the number 3 overall pick, which I can't believe. Who the frick is going to be their quarterback? I guess part of their thought process is if you only like 2 and you have the 3rd overall pick,
might as well drop down a few spots.
And that's where it boils down to. It's all a matter of who you like. So
trades.
But if they go, hey, we like Caleb Williams and we like Drake May, we don't like Jaden Daniels, or we don't like Drake May, we like Jaden Daniels, why not? Why not? Make the trade. Don't force the pick. When you force the pick, you get Mac Jones. Just saying. That's what happens. The Steelers, who hired former Titans offensive coordinator Arthur Smith, who of course after being the Titans OC was the head coach of the Falcons the last couple of years, they're rumored to be interested in Ryan Tannehill, who obviously had some success with him in Tennessee. So interesting there. We just talked about them releasing Mitchell Trubisky, and now all of a sudden there's another guy we think they might be interested at the same position. The Eagles this weekend have allowed Hassan Reddick permission to seek a trade. He's got 1 more year on his 3-year deal he signed with them. He wants a big deal, and he doesn't want to play without a big deal. So they're going to let him seek a trade. He has 50.5 sacks in the last 4 seasons, guys. That's goddamn impressive.
Yeah.
That means he's averaging more than 12 sacks a year for consistently for 4 years. Huh?
12.5, right?
That's listen, you want to do the math that way, but yeah, probably about that. I know he's over 12. Yeah, obviously less than 13. So there, yeah, probably 12.5. Again, very impressive guy who's succeeded now 3 teams in that time frame. So Yeah, I'll definitely say he's a guy that if the Giants could ever get him, I wouldn't mind it, but they're not going to trade him in with the division, guys. So before anybody even talks about should we trade for him, they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. If you want a stud pass rusher, Josh Allen's our best bet. Again, not Buffalo Josh Allen, obviously the Jacksonville one. Tom Brady is expected to be cleared to become officially a part owner of the Raiders at the next owners meeting, so we'll have to see about that. I know a lot of them were kind of hesitant to vote him in. They were worried he's going to come out of retirement and play for somebody next year, which would be awkward if you're part owner of one team and playing again. The Seahawks hired former Washington OC Ryan Grubb. When I say Washington, I mean Washington University, not Washington the Commanders. Interesting because you may have heard he recently accepted the job as the OC at Alabama as well. So he's hanging Alabama dry and going to be the OC over in Seattle there. Good get for them overall. So we'll see what happens there. Chargers retain special team coordinator Ryan Ficken, which remember was the first guy that we were blocked from interviewing. So I like that better now that they're keeping him. I feel like we weren't just blocked they weren't being just jerks. They wanted to actually keep him. Speaking of the Chargers, Keenan Allen, despite having a $34.7 million cap hit next season, says he expects to be back with the Chargers. So you got to think there's some kind of restructure, some kind of extension, something's going to happen there because something's got to give. There's no way in hell you're going to pay that much there. So, that ends it in Giants news here, but we have some Connor news here. Connor's giving us some extra news here, it looks like. See, do you like a good polka, Drew? I don't know. I mean, if I'm drunk in a beer garden, sure. He says, see, you're 6'7", holy fook.
That's why he's Irish.
He says, there's a Bruce Lee special about his death on the History Channel at 10 p.m. if anyone's interested. Well, that's starting now. We're at 10 p.m. right now. Do you know where your children are? Don't tell people, okay? We don't want them watching that. Put it on, watch it on demand. We're still going here.
Pretty sure it's like 10 years old anyway.
Winning, easy winning. Namar says Kyle Shanahan had some boneheaded mistakes. I think he should be fired. I won't go to.
I wouldn't go that far.
Fired, but
he kind of be a little bit of a hot seat. Like he gets him to the glory land. He gets him far, but he just can't seem to get the dance to go.
Yep, exactly. Connor says also Plexico's son Elijah is going to Notre Dame, named after Eli Manning. Yep, I did hear that as well. I just don't know how good he is a prospect, so we'll see. He says, damn, I'm old. I remember him being born. Plexico or Elijah, just for the record.
Yeah.
It's a very important distinction here. All righty, guys. We'll be back again for you guys Wednesday night. We're doing our State of the Team series here, going into the wide receiver room. I can tell you it's a great episode because we already recorded it because Wednesday is also Valentine's Day. So obviously I want to stay married. So we got plans for going out to dinner. So therefore, Rob and I shot that already before this episode. So plenty of news. We're giving you all the news on not just who's on the roster currently, who was on last year. We'll also break it down for you the biggest names in free agency and the draft as well. We're going beyond just the big names too. We're not just talking T. Higgins, and Mike Evans, and Marvin Harrison Jr. And that's it. Like we're going over legit names that you could legit see on this roster next year there, because we're going to get a receiver, guys. I'm telling you right now that free agency or the first two rounds, you will see a receiver. One of those three, whether it's a first round pick, one of the 2 second-round picks, or a free agent, a new receiver, probably one of the ones we're talked about, is going to be on that roster because we need a top-end receiver. So keep an eye out there. And then, of course, Wednesday we'll be back for you guys. We'll be back live again Wednesday. We'll do our tight end state of the team there. So keep an eye out for all that so we can start breaking down everything here, because when that ends, guys, it's right into free agency, draft talk. We got so much stuff going on for you guys here. And of course, as always, we are live every Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter/X, Twitch, Instagram, and of course, Rob's favorite,
Drew's LinkedIn page.
Oh, yes, he loves my LinkedIn page. And we're always available the next day. 5 a.m. is when the episodes drop on iHeartRadio, Amazon, Spotify, all the big ones there. So do me a favor, hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the share to somebody there. And of course, if you're on YouTube, hit that bell, ring my bell there. Appreciate you guys listening in. As always, Giant fans.
Go
G-Man!
German!
German!
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support.
Thanks so much.